You're listening to the Naptime Empires podcast with my mom, Nikki Elledge Brown. Mom, your show's on.
Thanks, bud. I got it from here. Welcome to the Naptime Empires podcast, refreshingly honest conversations on the realities of parenthood and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Nikki Elledge Brown. Let's get started. As you can tell by the title of this episode, today I want to talk about friendships, the power of friendships, the importance of friendships, a bit of how-to, and just my own experience and stories and insights from cultivating beautiful friendships all over the world, most of the time, honestly, in the last 5 years that I've been in this online business journey, when we haven't even met yet in person. I just wanted to check in with you on this because, let's just be honest. Motherhood in itself, even though you're surrounded by people or another person that you love very dearly, it can feel really isolating. Same with, and maybe you're not even a mom, and it's just like entrepreneurship can feel really isolating. If you're online most of the time and you're not out there in the world connecting with people face to face as much, at least, even forget like motherhood or entrepreneurship, just life in this day and age where we're more connected than ever through our phones and through social media, but we're missing this face-to-face, heart-to-heart, belly-to-belly, nose-to-nose, toes-to-toes connection that we were literally designed and built for. And I'm sharing this now because I've just been so filled up by this trip I recently took back over the rainbow. In case you don't know, I used to live in Hawaii for the better part of a decade, a very formative decade after getting married at age 23 until we moved to Texas last year at age 32. We lived in Hawaii, had both of my babies there, and I knew I was going to miss it. This is just a sidebar. I knew I was going to miss it. I'm aware enough to know, this is going to be hard after this has been home for so long, and just various levels of life turning inside out and upside down for a lot of transitions over the last year. But I just didn't realize how much just vibrationally, what a special place it is. So once I was really realizing that over the last couple of months, I didn't get to thank you, for that level of support where even though I wasn't going to the beach every day or even every month, just knowing it was there and just seeing the beautiful Pacific Ocean and those beautiful green mountains just lifted my spirit, just as a baseline. And so I was really looking forward to just being there and soaking up the Oahu cooties, as I call them. But I also got to go to the Big Island with several of my dearest friends. And so the trip was broken up into 3 to 4 day chunks. And it was just so special to have that FaceTime. It was a little bit hard because there was a bit of mom guilt thinking, this is the longest I've ever been away from my babies for this 10-ish day trip. But then, I bought Bryson this $20 magic set at Target, and I was give it a go and show me some magic tricks when you get home. And that eased my mom guilt. Checked in with them at bedtime, at FaceTime, and it was totally fine. They were actually going on another trip while I was gone, and that helped a lot too. I did a little dry erase board countdown of how many sleeps until mommy's home, and they were all well and good. It was fine, trust me. So just in case you need that permission slip to be able to go on a trip, it doesn't have to be 10 days. It could be one night away. It could be a lunch away if you haven't even done that. It is so worth it. It was so fun because some of my friends, like the amazing Alex Beeden, if you're not following her on Instagram, you got to go do that. She's the queen of Instagram stories. But we've been friends for 5 years, since the beginning of my business. And this was my first time actually meeting her in real life. And I was I didn't realize you were as tall as me. I just feel she's younger than me. So for some reason, and she's so, I don't know, I just imagined she was this tiny petite, because she is tiny and petite, but she's as tall as me, or maybe a little bit taller. And I wasn't expecting it. And that's one of my favorite things about meeting friends in real life, because it's not you even ask these things about each other, right? So anyway, that's just one example of how fun it is when you have these real life connections. And isn't that amazing? I was talking about the loneliness, but it also is really cool how the internet and the power of social media brings us together with people who are so aligned with our mission and our values, and they're literally all over the world. And we can build those deep, meaningful connections with people who we've never met. I mean, there are still some of my very best friends that I have yet to meet in real life, although in the last few years, that's really been shifting, and I'm so thankful that now I've even seen some multiple times in real life. And every single time it just feels like Iron Man, like a light in my chest. It just feels like, we were meant for each other, and we kind of power up when we're in each other's physical spaces. So, as you can tell, I'm like even in a good mood just talking about it and thinking about it. I am so grateful for the friends that I have in my life from growing up as well that are here, honestly, that sadly I've been really bad about seeing my Texas friends. If you're one of my Texas friends and you're listening to this and you're like, thanks a lot, Nikki, because we haven't met up yet, I absolutely need to be better and want to be better in this next year of my life about cultivating and reconnecting locally, in the Houston area, but even up at TCU, and my buddies up in the DFW area. But either way, whether it's old friends, new friends, friends that have been, in your life for years, but you haven't met them in real life, I wanted to check in with you and nudge you and just kind of poke you a little bit and be like, how are you making time for those heart connections in your life? And it doesn't have to be a 10-day trip. It doesn't have to be a trip at all. It could literally be a text message that you're sending to a friend who's on your heart. While we were in Hawaii, we learned about Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, and it was just this conversation around mental health and checking on each other, right? And just making sure that we know, and our friends know, and the people in our life know that we're here for you, not just for the good stuff. You don't have to apologize, and I tell this to some of my good friends a lot. I'm like, please don't apologize for, air quotes, dumping in this space and just venting or whatever. Like, you've got to get it out. So this is just a pro tip. The next time you're sharing something with your friends, you can send a little alert like, okay, this isn't going to be a fun, sunshiny update, so they can brace themselves and put their bubble up if they need to so they can take it. But instead of being like, sorry, just say, thank you so much for listening. Instead of sorry for putting all this on you, just say thank you so much for listening, because you don't have to apologize for being human, dude. And what I told one of my buddies the other day, I'm like, if you're acting like you can't share this stuff with me, then that makes me think I can't share this stuff with you. That's what I say to people who say they can't make typos around me and they're super paranoid about it. I'm like, dude, if you can't make a typo around me, you're saying I can't make a typo around you, and I don't need that kind of pressure in my life. So the same goes with friends. When you need to just get something off your chest, and it's not like you're even looking for an answer, you just need to share it and put it out there and get it out of your heart and get it out of your brain and let somebody hold that for just a second while you get a better grip on it. That's okay. It's necessary, and we all need the friends who can hold that for us. I am so honored and thankful and blessed and privileged in all of those words to be able to be that friend for so many amazing women, and to also have them be that friend for me. Like, I would not be who I am without my friends. And yet, like I said, I know that I don't consciously make intentional time just to be in their space as often as I would like to. And that's not a guilt or an enough kind of issue. It's just an awareness that I have that I want to pass along with you, because I'm fresh off of this trip and realizing and remembering the power of just being in the space of women who know and love and get you, like you, who you truly, truly are. Where you can just relax. You don't even have to be talking. You could literally just, like, by breathing their air, it's charging you up just by breathing their air. And so that's why I wanted to take time and pass this reminder and this reflection onto you, and to maybe give you some ideas, because maybe you're like, well, that's great, Nikki, but I don't have any of these friends that you speak of, that really know the true me and are there for me whenever I'm having a hard time, or that I can be there when they're having a hard time, blah, 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 blah. And to that I would say, because I've had people ask me a lot over the years, because I have a lot of friends. It's a great thing. And people are like, how do you know everybody, it seems? And it's not like everybody is my close friend. But to be honest, I do have a lot of really close friends, because what is my message, right? What has my message always been? That you have permission to be yourself. This is my tip to you. When I've shown up as myself, that has attracted not just dream clients, but dream friends. And so one of the tips, if you feel like you don't have these real, genuine heart friendships, I would ask you, are you showing up? And if you are showing up, are you actually showing up as yourself? Or do you have a persona? And maybe that's your business choice and your business decision or whatever. But if you're hanging out with me, that's probably not your style. If you want to attract, it's not even like a dream client business thing. It is, but that's not what I'm talking about. This is also how you attract friends who know, like, and trust you. And it matters, and it's important. It's necessary, like mandatory, required. If you don't feel like you have a buddy who gets you and gets what you're going through, and it's not like one buddy has to be all things, right? You can have friends who really get the business piece, and you can have friends who really get the motherhood piece or the living in your area piece or whatever it is. I mean, it's sweet and amazing to have friends who can, fill multiple buckets for you. But if you're not attracting them, it's because you're not showing up as you are. It's literally one of those shine your light kind of things and be the lighthouse versus the tugboat, because we want to overthink it. Duh. That's kind of our MO sometimes, to overthink things and make it harder than it needs to be. And it can be that way. Like in real life, it is harder. I think I've talked about this on a podcast, even if not my own. I talked about the one that got away, where I was at a Jamboree class with Bryson when he was itty bitty. And then Ellie's mom, I was like, oh man, we could probably totally be friends. But I was too nervous to like ask for her number or, suggest that we set up a play date. They were only like 6 months old. So what's a play date at 6 months old? But anyway, and then years later, we saw them at Aulani. And I know that sounds really creeper that I remembered, but I did, because she had my color hair and eyes, and Ellie is like one of my favorite girls' names. And so I was like, oh man, anyway. It can be hard. It can be awkward in real life. But even then, you have shared common interests or groups or places that you would go, and you can bet that there's like a filter of like, oh, we have things in common, right? Or if you're volunteering at your kiddo's school, it's just that 20 seconds. I saw a quote the other day about just 20 seconds of ridiculous or embarrassing bravery or courage can make such a difference. So the next time that you see someone in person and you feel a nudge, like maybe we could be friends in real life, then go for it. Just do it. And you can say like, I totally feel like, I'm asking you out on a date, but I'm really looking to, find people to connect with here locally. Would you be interested in having a play date? We could get the little ones together or go to our favorite place or whatever, something like that. And just acknowledge that you feel super awkward doing it. And if she, says no, then obviously it wasn't meant to be. But maybe she'll be like, oh, thank you. I've been looking for friends around here too. Again, if you get the nudge, if you can muster just 20 seconds of courage, go for it. Or even if you have buddies that are online locally, or people that that are in your area, but you aren't actually making the time for it, then just, again, follow the nudge. Whoever's coming to mind right now, or whatever group or interest group is coming to mind right now, and just take a little baby step of being like, hey, I just, I'm taking my little one to blah, 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 blah. Do you guys want to come along or whatever? Or we could meet up for lunch or whatever it is. And just give yourself that opportunity, because you never know where it could go. Don't put the pressure on it. It's not like you're saying you have to be BFFs forever. But the point is, we need each other. We're here for each other. And you don't have to be alone, doing this alone. And I think especially with entrepreneurs and powerful women, it can be easy to feel like you've got to be independent. You can't be asking for help or asking for support, but that's BS. And I have a whole podcast episode about that, right? Allow yourself to be supported. # bring the village back. And this is one of those things. And you might remember me talking about, because it was October of last year when I went to San Francisco and met up with some of my friends. And that was the first time I really did a trip that was just me and friends. It was so amazing too. And also we were like, I feel like I'm on an emoji tour, because we were in San Francisco and we were laying in the grass kind of at the foot of the Golden Gate Bridge. And then this time we went and did a helicopter ride over the volcano. And then we went to visit our twin-laws in Washington and went to Olympic National Park. And I felt like, what's it called? Hurricane Ridge up there in the big snowy mountains. I'm like, this is life, man. I said I was going to go see national parks once we lived in Texas again. This is the dream, to be visiting these places with people that I know, love, and care about. And like I said, can really be myself with. So going back to the tactical, practical piece, if you feel like you don't have these friends, but you know that you want them, you've got to show up. There's no way around it. So I want to just call you out on that and give you a friendly, loving challenge. Whether it's online or in person, you've got to literally and figuratively put yourself out there if you want to whether that's for your business or actually for real life. So keep that in mind and just don't underestimate it. And if you do already have some of these friends that you haven't met in real life, but you know and love them, and you've built these genuine, real friendships. It's not like it's a pen pal or a fake friend. Sometimes it's like, yeah, when I hadn't met a lot of my friends in real life, and he knows, when I say people's names over and over again, but he's like, right, it's almost like imaginary friendship. Then when you can meet in real life and your kiddos can see pictures of you guys together, it's like, oh, and especially when they have kiddos around the same age, it's so cool because it's like a network of these friends that have little friends for them, literally all over the world. So when we go visit, that'll be so fun. And our kids are kind of growing up together, parallel lives in their different corners of the world. And so if you already have these friends, but you haven't met them in real life, or you have, but not as often as you want to, again, I'm recording this as a nudge to you and to me if I ever listen back to it, to take some time today, this week, and make a plan to see them. And if you want it to be around an event, like a business event or something that you both would want to go to anyway, that's fine and great. But I also just want you to remember you have permission to do it just because you want to. A trip to go see a corner of the world that you just want to see anyway, and you may or may not want to take the families along with you. But if there's a place that you want to go anyway, why not go together? Like, hey, I'm going to meet you at the Grand Canyon. Again, one of these days I'll take my kiddos, but I'm not really in a rush to take them to Yellowstone, for example, where it can actually be kind of dangerous anytime soon. But I do want to go see these places. So I'm like, let's just start meeting up at national parks, places that we want to go anyway, and go. And then save yourself thousands of dollars because you don't necessarily have to go to an event. Don't let the event have to be your excuse. Your friendship is more than enough of a reason. Of course, if you want to make it a business expense, you got to ask your accountant about that kind of thing. Maybe you host a meetup or a workshop or something you could co-host together. Opportunities and ideas are endless, but either way, it doesn't always have to be business related. I love the life stuff. I just want you to be like, get the gears turning basically, and thinking about how you can prioritize. And you know what? Even if financially at the moment, it doesn't make sense for you to do this trip, one, I would challenge you to think about, again, the return on the investment and the energize and the ideas that'll come together when you do have that space and that time away to think, to process, and to mastermind and to share ideas. But even then, even it's just maybe a text or a FaceTime date, or in your local area, maybe it's just lunch or going to a movie or going on a date or dinner or going to a museum and doing something to get inspired together, something that's just out of your normal routine. It's priceless, dude. It's invaluable. And it's what life's all about. One of the things that I realized when I was in Hawaii and sharing all this stuff on Insta stories, which I've barely used Insta stories, I just play around with it. But I was obsessively bottling up these moments to make kind of a digital scrapbook for myself and for my kiddos and for anyone who wants to join the trip. I was documenting so much on Instagram. You can just go to instagram.com/Nikki Elledge Brown to see the highlights album. And what I realized, just one of my biggest reflections, was that life is so meant to be shared. I know that that's not news, but it was just a beautiful example to me of how life is so much better when it's shared. Because when I was all sentimental about places when I was driving around Oahu for those few days, it's because I had memories there with friends and with my husband and with my babies. I had memories in those places because I had shared those experiences with people that I know, love, and care about. Even like a funny Periscope that I recorded once upon a time over by Pearl Harbor, and then the sprinklers came on and Bryson was running around in the sprinklers behind me while I was doing Periscope. It's like just those fun memories that were shared with people. And then one of my ladies replied in my DM. She's like, I remember that one, It was fun and special because it was shared. And then even in the moments when I was by myself or experiencing something new, it made it more fun and more enjoyable for me to share it with you through Instagram. Like it was cool when there was this rainbow. I was sitting kind of at the Ford Island where I was staying, sitting in the grass and looking across the bridge in Pearl Harbor and looking over towards the mountains and thinking, wouldn't it be cool if there was, because I hadn't seen a rainbow yet. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a rainbow? But I didn't say anything about it because I was just by myself. But then sure enough, a few minutes later, there was a freaking rainbow. And I was like, okay, this is just for me. but also for my Instagram following. Like, this was just for us. And it was so fun. And I had so many messages of people. And please, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out so you can experience some of the magic and then let me know what you think in messages. But there were so many messages that were like, thank you so much, for showing us and for taking us along. I really felt like I was there with you, and I may never get to go to that corner of the world. So I'm so glad that you shared it. And so again, that was one of my biggest takeaways on a meta and a micro level, that life is so much more, it's so much richer when we share it with people that we care about. And that goes for like the whole bigger picture of life, but also just the everyday stuff. And so just tangible examples of how that plays out, whether that's a trip where it's just a dedicated trip of girlfriends or masterminding time, whether it's having a meetup and having a slumber party to an event that y'all are already going to anyway, making sure that you stay together or close to each other so that you can have that wind down time to process and debrief the day together, whether it's a lunch date, a one-day spa day getaway, or going on a hike, or going for a walk together with your friends that are local to you, going for a walk to just catch up and check in, or just a text message, dude, a text message to say, hey, you're on my mind today. How are you doing over there? What's going on? Because I guarantee when you are feeling a nudge and the friend that you're thinking of right now, I have a few friends of mine right now, there's a reason why she's on your heart or he's on your heart. So if nothing else today, now that you've got your phone, you're probably listening to this on your phone, before you go on and do whatever else you're doing in your life today, please pick up your phone, grab that friend, and send that friend some love, just a little check-in, and then see where it goes. And then bonus points for real. If you have a plan or a girls' weekend or something on the books, let me know. I want to hear about it. Instagram's the best place to connect with me these days. But I want to hear about it. And again, even then, if you don't have any plans and if you feel like you don't have any friends currently right now that fit that caliber, that really lift you up and understand where you are, then really just look and challenge yourself to put yourself out there in a way that is genuine and true. Because I promise as you start to do that, they will start to take notice. It's how it works. Like moths to a flame, and you can see like, oh, you're my kind of people. Like we can have a lot of fun if we ran this race together. There's nothing like it. I am so thankful. If you are one of my people, you know that you're one of my people, and I am so thankful for you and for the opportunity to be a friend to you and to have a friend in you. This journey would definitely not be as magical as it's been and as brutal as Glennon Doyle says without you in it. So here's to friends. Grab them, text them, spend some time with them as you can. Don't underestimate the power of being a great friend and having one too. If you have any other questions about anything that I talked about, just on a practical or nosy behind the scenes kind of level, let me know, because this is something I feel really strongly about and would love to talk about it more with you. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely hit that button. We're going to have a few more episodes coming out of season 2, and then we're in for a transition. I'm not exactly sure what's happening yet, but we'll have a few more conversation episodes coming up and then solos sprinkled around and in between, as is the usual pattern. But this one, I just wanted to get on the books to say, friends are priceless. All right, have a great one wherever you are. Again, text your buddy, keep me posted, and I'll talk to you soon.
This show may be over, but the conversation is just beginning. Head on over to naptimeempires.com/Facebook so you can join my free... Wait, did I say free? I meant priceless, rapidly growing community of Naptime Empire builders for deeper discussions, behind-the-scenes scoop, and of course, updates whenever I've got new stuff coming up for you. naptimeempires.com/Facebook. See you there.
See you next time. Thanks for listening.
Good job, buddy.